Hey, it's Ben with Ben's Appliances. I hope you are having a great day today. I want to show you how to get into the diagnostic mode of this Speed Queen FF7 009WN, and it works the same, I believe, on the TR7 as well. They have the same interfaces. If yours looks like this one, it should work. So let's show you how to get into the diagnostics in the system. I want to show you the error codes that the machine could potentially have. And then finally, there is a hidden set of dip switches on this that will change some of the factory modes. I want to show you how to access that and maybe what could be entailed on it, as well as get the schematics out for the machine. So let's do all those things in this video and get started.
First, we're going to enter the self-test or diagnostic mode. To enter the mode, you need to unplug the unit from electric power at your wall, wait about 30 seconds, and then plug the unit back in. When it boots up, you're going to get various information at the start of the boot up screen. The washer will then be on the last mode that you had used on the unit. This is the number value of each key that you're going to see on the machines. 1 through 32, most of the tests are going to be done with the numbers 1 through 20 though. The various diagnostic tests and modes are all done through pressing two buttons at the same time. Here are the keys for the FF7, which differ slightly from the TR7 that we just saw, although they're identical, number 1 through 29. For the test modes that we can use, here are the various diagnostic codes and commands that are available on the Speed Queen TR7 washer. I don't have a TR7, but they're very similar to the FF7 for reference. And how you input a command again is identical to enter any mode. Simply press the two relevant keys simultaneously when the machine is in the correct mode. Now, in the case of the factory test, we just booted the machine up early in the start of the video, and it's been less than 5 minutes. So when I press the temp and white button, which are number 2 and number 7, it's going to enter the factory test mode, and we will see the FL lettering on the screen to begin. So let's go ahead and go through the factory test diagnostic mode so I can show you how that works on this FF7 washer. Once I go through the FF7 test, I'll show it to you on the TR7 in a little bit. At test number 5, the P value will be shown on the screen. This is going to require you to press every single key to go to the next step. Each time you press a button, the screen will show you which button you pressed, and it will light up as you see here. When you've pressed every single button, you then want to press a start button, and it will conclude this test. The DC test is for the door being opened or closed. You can cycle this by opening and closing the door, or by pressing the start/pause button. For this test, and some similar ones, you can advance the tests by pressing the start button, which is exit number 1 on the right column. Or there are some modes that you have to do something else other than pressing that button. And here's the condition for cycling some of those tests for reference. This is for FF7 washers, and I'm going to show you the same paperwork for the TR7 after a bit, but it's pretty similar. On this test, as shown on the exit column, there it will keep filling until the pressure sensor hits a specific level, and pressing start won't do anything. It's very loud when it fills, which is why I had to voice over this afterwards. Some model of Speed Queen washers are going to have heaters, which will use test 14, but this unit doesn't have one, I don't believe, so it automatically skips over to number 15, the overflow test. At this test, the system will automatically advance to the spin once it is drained, and the RPM number is in tens of units until you advance to the next test. Finally, this is the Breakaway agitate mode. This unlocks the door, and to cycle the system, you have to open the door to advance to the next scene. And then finally, you have this diagnostic test, which is the end, and the only way to exit this mode is to unplug the machine. Even if you press the start button, nothing will happen, and you're essentially locked out of doing anything until the machine is unplugged. And with the factory test done, let's show you how to access the schematics and find the tech sheet, as well as some other fun things. To do this, you're going to need a 5/16 screwdriver or drill. There are 2 screws at the rear of the machine that I didn't film, but they're very easy to spot and you need to remove them. Once you have them out, slide the casing rearward and off of the machine. This is going to reveal the schematics for the unit and other internal paperwork in the machine. Next, I want to show you how to program the machine to do a few things differently via the dip switch command. To do that, we have to access the interface panel behind the touchpad. To start, use the same 5/16 driver to remove the top 4 screws on the panel like you see here. Also, if it isn't obvious, make sure that the machine is unplugged before you get to the rear side of the interface. Then you go to the rear of the machine with a long 5/16 screwdriver, and there's going to be 2 hidden screws that hold the bottom of the interface into the chassis of the washer like you see here. You have to remove these carefully as they're somewhat difficult to remove, but it shouldn't be that difficult for a long screwdriver. Once you have that done, return to the front of the machine and lift the panel up and away. For easier access to the dip switches, consider unplugging the wire harness to the interface. This is what the interface is going to look like. You're going to see a few wire harness areas, and then you need to locate the dip switches on the board, which will again be located approximately in the middle upper column of the interface. There are 8 dip switches on the FF7 washing machine that control hidden functions and features. Note that this is a major modification to your system. I cannot advise you to do this. I don't know if it impacts warranty or causes other situations, but in the interest of education of the video, I want to explain what these do. Note that some of these switches will or will not work on your machine, and it may be for only certain makes and models of machines that are not the Speed Queen FF7 like I have here. 2 modes that most viewers are going to care about are going to be on switches number 2 and number 3. If switch number 2 is turned on, it will turn off the energy saving water and fill levels. If switch 3 is turned on, it will allow you to reprogram the water level on the machine for allowing extra water usage. Note that just by flipping the switch on, it isn't going to allow the machine to use more water. You still have to do some programming. Again, this is for informational purposes only. I can't advise you to do this or not because I think the stock wash quality on the FF7 is great, but it is a hidden feature in here that you can use. If you did flip the dip switch number 3 on, you would want to go back to the front of the washing machine, plug it in, and then use key number 8 and 14 to enter the extra water mode. From here, you would press button number 3 to increase the water level on the LED screen. There are going to be 5 settings that you can choose from: 00, 05, 10, 15, and 20. What that actually stands for is the inches of water that you're going to add to the machine during each wash, with 20 really meaning 2.0 inches of water in the machine, for example. If you go past 20 or 2.0, it's going to just recycle to 00. Next, let's go over some of the error codes that you could find on the FF7 front-load washing machine. This is a pretty long list, so we're going to cover quite a few potential error codes. Now let's go over some similar information on the TR7. This is very similar with just a few nuances. I don't have one available in front of me, so I'm just displaying the information as best as I can. This is the panel and modes that are available on the TR7 washing machine. Again, it's going to be pretty much identical to the FF7. A lot of the modes are similar, and you can see the factory test modes the same way. You would unplug the machine and then run it within 5 minutes of boot up. This is going to be the order of tests for the TR7 that you can do, but instead of the door locking or switching, you're going to have to lift the lid up rather than open the door outward, but I think that would be somewhat self-explanatory. Also, the agitation modes are going to be quite a bit different because it's a top loader rather than a front loader. Next, this is how you would cycle each test on the TR7. Again, very similar to how we ordered everything in terms of pressing the start/pause button or having to let pumps or valves run, with a few minor variations. Refer to the last screens in this one for the proper sequence to advance the test as needed. Next, the TR7 has the same interface board as the FF7, so the look and location of the dip switches are going to be pretty identical. I haven't repaired a TR7 before, but my best guess on accessing the interface is going to sound like this. There should be 3 or 4 Torx screws on the top of the unit that would need unscrewed. Once done, you'd roll the panel forward to access the interface of the machine. Next, we have the TR7 dip switches. For programming, switch number 2 and switch number 3 are going to be the key modes here that you'd want to possibly turn on. This will modify the spray rinse to a tub fill rinse, which would be lower efficiency, but it would fill the tub with water. Then you would have water temperature programming and fill levels for this unit. I would assume that they're set to off by default on your washing machine. That could be turned on and then programmed for more water usage, similar to the FF7, but I don't think you have to actually reprogram the fill levels. Now we have the error codes for the Speed Queen TR7 washing machine. They're going to be pretty similar to the FF7, but potentially there are going to be a few changes due to it being a top loader with a different transmission system. Now that we're done with all the error codes, the dip switch programming, and everything, that's it for the video. I hope this helped you troubleshoot your machine, or maybe unlocked some of its hidden potential, or were just simply informed about what this machine has underneath. Have a great day.